Hello everyone. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, and that's just because I'm going to rant. This video is actually inspired by some trending events on Twitter and some other social media platforms on Helen Fabio, where a lot of people were chiming in and a lot of people were sharing their experiences, horrible experiences. However, this video is not about Helen Fabio. Basically inspired by two stories from the whole thing, from the whole trending event, and those two stories inspired this video today. And frankly, if you are a Nigerian and you grew up in Nigeria, this is something that you have heard, experienced, not the stories per se, but the events around these stories. Very similar. I'm sure we have experienced it, we have heard it, we have even had some famous ones that have come about during the years. And this story is about Mrs. Martina Oke-Itagbo and Mrs. IQUO EYO. Now, what happened to these two women is the reason for this video today, because I think it's something that should be addressed and we should talk about, and that is jungle justice in Nigeria. Welcome to Legal Essentials, where we talk about matters arising from the perspective of the law. When it comes to jungle justice, everyone is aware, let me not say everyone, most Nigerians are aware of jungle justice. I'm pretty sure you've heard of stories, or probably even seen it or experienced it for yourself. This might sound familiar. Have you heard or seen in the marketplace where you start hearing ole, ole, and thief, and all of a sudden a mob gathers and somebody's being beaten up, frankly being tortured if we're being honest, and next thing tire comes from nowhere and they place tire on their necks, on their bodies, and they are set ablaze. It's shameful to say that this actually happens more often than we would like to admit. It's something that I experienced growing up in Nigeria as a kid. I've seen someone burnt live, and for petty crimes, even if the crimes were committed. We'll get to that further down the video. The popular case of the Alo 4, and most people are already aware of that case that happened in Rivers State. That was a devastating story where 4 young boys were killed, by this same jungle justice, and they were innocent. And I don't even want to bring innocence or guilty into this, because I don't believe there's any justification for killing anybody in that manner at all. And frankly, if you're Nigerian, you have not heard about this, I'm sorry to let you know that this actually does happen in Nigeria. It does happen, and it's a very shameful one, frankly. And these individuals, I won't call them thugs or any names, because if we're being honest, these things are carried out by regular citizens. I've seen regular people who are going about their day buying things in the market, and all of a sudden it's like a switch is flipped and they are part of the mob. So I won't even use words to try and separate them and make them look, yes, they are criminals because of the criminal act carried out, but I'm not going to use words, because these things are carried out by regular citizens in Nigeria, taking justice into their own hands. They are basically being judge, jury, and executioner, and that's not the right way to go. And some may claim and actually say, well, it's because of lack of confidence in the criminal justice system, and we will not get into that. That might be true, that may not be true. I'll leave that up to you guys to maybe debate on the comment section. But regardless of your lack of confidence, I think that's handling cases like that is inhumane, it's barbaric, and it's frankly backwards. And I think this topic is long overdue for us to talk, for us to address, and in fact for us to address as a nation. It's long overdue for us to talk about it. And the purpose of this video today, we're going to delve into jungle justice. What does the law say about it? The position of the law when it comes to jungle justice, the perpetrators in this act. And our target for this video it is to dissuade people, because observation have showed that, as I said earlier, regular citizens and these people genuinely believe that they are fighting justice. They genuinely believe that they are uh, um, they are in the right, they are doing the right thing. And our target for this video is to dissuade people from such acts. No, the law does not support it. No, you are not right. You are not doing right by anybody. We should always leave things to the justice system, and we'll get further down into this video. So hopefully we attain that, and at least somebody watches this video, changes his or her mind on participating in jungle justice or mob justice, or mobbing, or anything relating to jungle justice. So I'm about to tell the story about the two ladies I mentioned at the beginning. So this is a story about Mrs. IQUO I hope I'm saying her name wrong. Unfortunately, it's actually late Mrs. IQUO because she passed away due to the same incident I'm about to share with you. So, 12th October 2022. Yes, I know, 2022. It's not long ago. This is recent. 12th October 2022. An incident happened where a man died in a motorcycle accident. So a young boy, I think about 8 to 9 years old, confessed. Now, we don't know how the boy confessed. We don't know what was behind the confession, what that boy must have gone through. Maybe he was beaten. We don't know. I don't have information on that. However, all we know is the young boy confessed to being the cause of his uncle's death, the motorcycle accident. And he mentioned 9 names, of which kind of introduced him, or the word initiated him into witchcraft. And when he mentioned the 9 names, the youths of the community, and this happened in Odubani, Cross River State, they went out and got the 9 people, including our late Mrs. IQUO, and they were tortured and beaten. Now, Mrs. IQUO was sleeping at her home, where all of a sudden a mob came into her home, destroyed properties, dragged her to the square, and she found other people there, and they were all being beaten. 5 others, including her, were killed. 3 women and 2 men. 4 were let go because they claimed that those 4 still held the lives of the youth in the community or whatever, witchcraft. It's ridiculous, but this is the story. So the 4 were spared because they claimed they still had the lives of some of the youths still in their hands and in their powers, and so they didn't want to kill those 4 yet anyways. And 3 women and 2 men were killed for the accusation of witchcraft. Now, the case of Mrs. IQUO is so annoying because, in fact, every of it is annoying. However, our own case is a little bit different from the rest 8, because a little bit different does not mean it's better or it's worse. They are all equally horrible cases. But she was a case of mistaken identity. And even though she cried out, her children cried out that, hey, you guys have the wrong person. The name that was mentioned is not even this woman. You guys have the wrong person. They were aware that they had her, the wrong person, and they still went along to beat her up, torture her, and kill her with the rest. It's terrible. And unfortunately, we don't have the names of the other people. But we got the story of just this Mrs. IQUO, and that's why we have her name anyways. And this was the event of what led to the torture and the death of Mrs. IQUO, along with 4 other people on that fateful day, October 2022. And you would think that these things don't happen anymore, but unfortunately they still happen. And this will bring to the next story, which even happened more recent, last year of 2023. The story of late Mrs. Martina Itagbo. In fact, already saying this story is already kind of getting me upset. So, and I can imagine that as you watching it also, because it's a terrible situation. However, in this case, 70-year-old, 70-year-old lady, Mrs. Martina, from Akampa local government. I hope I'm saying it right. Cross River, Cross River State again. I don't know what's going on in Cross River State. Two cases. Seems like a lot of this happens in Cross River State, but we'll leave it there for now. She was burnt to death on 18th of June 2023. This is just last year. At the shooting of this video, this thing happened last year. So we're not even talking about long time ago. Oh, it was in the olden days. No, this is still happening, and yeah, it's very frustrating, and it is actually very shameful that we're still doing this even up to now. This story actually started April 2023, where some youths gathered and they accused Mrs. Martina of being a witch. So they dragged her and attacked, and they took her to reported her to the head of the village, or the chairman of the village, and he washed his hands from the case and told her that there's nothing he can do, and she should protect herself however way she could. And the case was reported to the police, and the police did nothing about it. Early June 2023, some youths were on their way to swearing in ceremony of a political leader in the community, in the local government. And on their way, they were involved in an accident where two of the youths died, and a lot of them were injured. Because of this event, the youths gathered the next day, early morning, gathered and went to Mrs. Martina's home and dragged her out, blaming her for the accident, that she, witchcraft, and she caused the accident that killed the two youths. And the daughter was, because it was early morning and she was in church, the daughter was away. They pulled the mother, and she was beaten, tortured. It was horrible, and she was burnt to death. It was so bad that they burnt her to ashes. Like, she was complete ash, that they swept the ash of the road into the gutter and they washed the road. For a human to burn another human to death. I don't know if you have been burnt by any hot stuff, iron, or put your hand on candlelight or fire before. And imagine how hot that is, and somebody is being put fire all over and being burnt to death. It is very shameful that we're still doing this barbaric stuff, and this is what Mrs. Martina suffered before she died. After the torture and the beating, this is what she suffered. These two ladies suffered and died because of jungle justice. In this case, it's accusation of witchcraft. In so many other cases in Nigeria, it's accusation of stealing, accusation of so many things. And it's really frustrating that we could do that to one another, to a fellow human. It's really, really frustrating. What are the legal implications of jungle justice? When jungle justice happens, the fundamental human rights of the victims are trampled upon, regardless of if you think they committed a crime or not. Now, one of the main fundamental human rights, according to the Nigerian Constitution, is the right to life. And the right to life is wholly in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. According to Section 33 of the 1999 Constitution, it provides that every person has the right to life, and no one can be deprived intentionally of his life. Only in exceptions of where someone is found guilty of a crime and is sentenced to death. So those are the only exceptions. But everyone has the right to life in Nigeria. And when jungle justice happens, you take that right away from a person and you are guilty of that. The implication of this section is that irrespective of who you are, the intentional or unintentional killing of another is abominable and a gross disregard of the 1999 Constitution, which is criminal. Furthermore, Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution gives the right to fair hearing. And if in case of jungle justice, you take that right from the person because the person wasn't tried and didn't follow the legal process. You were judge, jury, and executioner, and therefore trampled upon the person's rights according to the Constitution. The Criminal Code and Penal Code contains provisions that criminalizes the acts of jungle justice. Section 316 to 319 of the Criminal Code and Section 221 to 223 of the Penal Code prohibits acts of violence, assault, and murder. So anyone who engages in jungle justice has basically infringed upon someone's fundamental human rights, as we mentioned earlier. Now, I'm going to talk about possible punishment because I think sometimes we don't think about the repercussions of this thing. But this is a criminal act, as mentioned in the Criminal Code and the Penal Code. What are the possible punishments or possible legal implications? Which is basically murder. Murder, according to Section 316 of the Criminal Code Act, basically prohibits anyone from killing somebody unlawfully. The possible punishments or repercussions for such acts and crimes: murder, obviously the obvious one. Murder, when you are involved in murder, will not be the only charge. Yes, you also committed assault, torture, and eventually murder. And with murder, according to the Criminal Code, Section 316, the consequence for murder is sent to be sentenced to death. And one might say that it's too harsh, but I don't think it's too harsh. Personally, like if you engage in such act, in killing somebody, regardless of what you think the person did, like think about it for a minute. If someone stole bread from the market and you feel that, oh, because this person stole bread, then let us put tire on his head and kill him, does that punishment fit the crime? So that's why I say regardless, because a lot of innocent people have been killed, and even if they are not innocent, that is not the way or the consequence for that. Because stealing has its own, if you have to take the person, report the person to the police, and the person goes through the legal system, there is a punishment for stealing, and it's not death. But guess what? The punishment for murder is to be sentenced to death. So you who engage in such acts will be liable to be sentenced to death. And personally, I'm for it. If you're against that, I would like to hear your opinion in the comment section. Just let me know. Do you think that is too harsh? That's for as a punishment for the perpetrators of jungle justice? And let's even talk about the ones of just mobbing somebody. Now, you don't have the intention to kill the person and you're just beating the person up or whatever. You should note that is still a criminal offense, because that is assault, and you can, and I think you should be charged and sentenced also. And in the case where the person dies in that assault, you will be charged for manslaughter, and life imprisonment is actually the sentence for such crimes. So we need to be careful. We have created a culture where we catch somebody doing something and we scream and we call it out, and people come out and we start, beat the person and mob the person. But that's actually not the right way to go about it. We report the person to the police. Yes, I know we do have lack of faith in our police and structure and our judicial system. However, they are there for a reason. We have to do it the right way. We have to put a little bit of trust, at least, especially in cases like this. Putting cases in your own hands and taking another man's life is not the right way to go. For a society that keeps complaining about our politicians, about our society, our government, and things like that, we should ask ourselves: is that the right way right citizens are supposed to behave? Like sometimes I actually think that we do actually deserve our government and our politicians if this is how we are acting. We compare ourselves to civilized nations, to America, England, and places like this, but look at what we are doing. We are killing somebody because of accusation of witchcraft. In 2024, 2023, 2024, it's ridiculous. We shouldn't still be engaging in such barbaric, backward practices. We have a legal system, we have a legal structure. And for the last case, the case of Mrs. Martina, the sad part about it is the youths who engaged in that were arrested. They were arrested. 14 of them were arrested, but they were released by the police. And till date, none of them has faced consequences for their actions. So I'm also using this opportunity to speak to our police force, our government. If we want change and we want to impact the society, then criminals should not be getting off of their criminal offenses. those 14 youths should be prosecuted and be charged. And yes, I'm for it. If they are found guilty, of murder, which they did. It's murder. You killed somebody, you burned someone to death. Then they themselves also should be sentenced to death. And I'm for it. If you're against it, I would like if you're against that, you can put that in the comment section and we'll talk about it. See why you are against that, and we can have that debate. But in any case, at least they should be charged. It's unacceptable that they were released and they've not faced any consequences for their action. So I employ the police of the Akampa local government and Cross River, the government of Cross River. They should attend to this issue. It's not past. It's 2023. It doesn't matter if it's 2023 and we're in 2024. We should address them, and the case should be revisited, and they should be arrested, and they should be charged, tried, and sentenced as it's supposed to be. And please, for any crime, report to the police. Let the person have the right to fair hearing and fair trial. It is basic, is the fundamental right of every single person in Nigeria, no matter the crime that the person committed. Even if the person was caught committing murder, it is not our duty. It is not the duty of the citizens. It is not our right to mob and kill the person. It's not our right or our duty to be judge, jury, and executioner. No, it's not. We do have a legal process for these things, and we should stick to it. I would like to hear your thoughts on this. I would like to hear, because it's, and I don't know if you could tell, but just talking about it gets me, worked up and upset. I didn't even know it was going to affect me this much, because it's been quite a while. I couldn't even do it at the moment, make the video at the moment when this whole news happened during the trend on Twitter a few weeks ago, because I was too upset. And I thought by now we have been calmed down and we were able to do it, but it still gets me upset, and it should get you upset too. And we should stand against people like this. And of course, it's a fringe population. It's not majority of Nigerians who do this. We should speak up against this. We should speak up against our police force, against our judiciary. These people should be held accountable, because when people begin to see people being held accountable for their crimes, then you are causing a change and a shift in mindset and mentality. And what we want is for a lawful society, people following the laws, and regulations, following the Constitution, abiding by the Constitution, and respecting each other's fundamental human rights. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, do all that great YouTube stuff. My name is Caesar, and we'll see you in the next video.